Hey there, LEGO fans. Happy Wednesday to you. Today is October 16th, 2024. It is a wild card Wednesday, one of my favorite days, turns out, because I'm going to talk your ear off about a LEGO theme that I absolutely am bonkers about. And honestly, it's the LEGO theme that brought me out of the dark ages of LEGO. And so, without further ado, let's talk about LEGO architecture, okay? And I know this is kind of a polarizing theme, but you can't deny that there is a legacy and there is a precedent for architecture and what it has done for LEGO as a company and how it targets people my age, in my age range, the AFOLs, the adult fan of LEGO, because if you were to go back to LEGO circa 2008, LEGO was still very much a licensed themes for things like Star Wars, granted, but Bionicle, City Line, and it geared itself a lot towards kids. There was no such thing as LEGO 18 plus sets that were specifically geared towards adult. You had Creator Expert line, but the highest it would go to is a 16 plus. And so architecture did something kind of interesting. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. But first, I just want to always start off with a thank you, whether you are listening in on your favorite podcast station or you're tuning in at YouTube. Thank you for listening or thank you for watching me. You can check me out at the Imagination Brick Shop, wherever you Google that name. But LEGO architecture, even though it didn't have that official theme name, LEGO architecture has actually been around for a long time. It really started in the 1960s, okay? And it was designed in the 60s. There were sets 750, 751, and 752, so you know they're old because there's only 3 digits to the set numbers. But these 3 set numbers were designed to be part of a LEGO system where kids and adults alike, or older kids, could build their own creation, build their own dream house or something like that. And it was the first time they really tried to gear a thing towards an older audience, okay? That was early 60s, part of the system. They were still figuring it out there at LEGO, and it didn't really take off. And so by the mid-60s, they discontinued doing that and moved into the 70s, where then you have the castle themes and the pirates themes and things and so forth, right? But now let's fast forward to 2006. There's an architect by the name of Adam Reed Tucker, and he is up in Chicago, Illinois, and he starts to use LEGO as a medium to design iconic structures that he loves, right? And so the first one he does is the Sears Tower. And he does it in what we would call a micro scale build. And he only uses like 60, 70 pieces to do it. And he starts designing different buildings like that, where he actually catches the eye of LEGO, which this is really, again, really rare back then to have someone who wasn't already affiliated with LEGO as a LEGO designer to have this start this partnership, right? And so the Sears Tower and the John Hancock building that he designed kind of metastasize into what becomes the LEGO architecture theme. And so in 2008, it officially gets branded that theme. The first 2 sets, the Sears Tower, John Hancock building, were actually releases that were super limited, okay? So there are 60 sets currently out for LEGO architecture as of this recording, according to brickset.com, if you want to look at it yourself. I own 54 of the 60 sets. This is, again, one of my favorite lines ever. Took me out of the dark ages, so I'm a completionist, and I wanted every single one. But the first 2, there's actually a version that were limited released sets, okay? So they have a Sears Tower that's set 21001, and it is released in the black box that we know and love for LEGO architecture. But before that, they had 2 limited edition release runs of both the Sears Tower and the John Hancock building. If you want to get your hands on those limited release runs, which there's nothing different to these sets besides the packaging, they both run about give or take $800, $900 on eBay right now, and that's if you can get your hands on them. Okay, that's the harder part, is if they go up for sale, you plan on paying a pretty penny. So I do not own those two sets for this line. There's 4 other sets that I don't own, which I'm definitely going to talk about. But before I get into it, architecture, like I said, it started in 2008, 60 in the line so far, and there's actually really 2 main sub-themes to this, okay? So there is the main theme, which is the landmark series, themes like the buildings like the Notre Dame Cathedral, which if you are tuning in and watching this on YouTube, you can see I've got it swinging around right next to me on a little Lazy Susan. It is an absolutely gorgeous set, the most current release, released here in 2024. But yeah, that's Notre Dame. That's part of the Landmark series. They also have the Skyline series, which has came out, the first one was Venice in 2016 and has run until 2022 when Singapore came out. We haven't gotten one in a couple of years. Fingers crossed that we get more. But so between those 2 themes, they really started releasing sets that were geared towards people like me, nerds like me, AFOLs like me, adults. And let me tell you, let me bring you back to a beautiful time, 2009. I am looking at some Lego sets, and I see the Lego Empire State Building. I think that was 2009. And I just thought to myself, that's a really cool set. It was on sale for $20. Wasn't a big investment. It was only 69 pieces. And honestly, it's a terrible price for only 69 pieces, but it was $20, right? And what I loved about this, and what this theme did so well back then, is that was a set that clearly wasn't for a child. I mean, you could get it for a kid, but they'd look at it and be like, okay, well, what is this Empire State Building, right? But as an adult who loves architecture, because I've always loved architecture and buildings and designers and things like that, I've always been into it, to me, I just gravitated towards it. And I was like, this is a really cool set. And so I bought the Empire State Building, built it in all of 20 minutes that it took to build, displayed it. I was like, this is a really cool set. It came in a really nice black packaged box, which it was a black box before the black boxes were the 18 plus boxes, right? Lego Architecture did it first. And it was a really nice high quality box. Did the 2 tape things right, but when you cut it, it unfolded, and it was a thicker packaged material. It wasn't the janky, thin cardboard with the push thumbs. No, it was high quality stuff. It was geared towards adults, okay? And that's really important, because this was, like I say, this was long before the 18 plus stuff, right? That you know and see literally on a full, if you go to a Lego store today, a full wall is literally devoted towards adults. Let's be honest. But back in 2008, that wasn't really the case. And so I bought that Empire State Building, and I thought to myself, I should buy the Space Needle. That came out same time. Also like 70 pieces, $20, cool. Ended up buying the John Hancock Center, and then I bought the Willis Tower, because by that time, they took the Sears Tower and renamed it to the Willis Tower. Okay, it's the same building. They just changed the name, which is frustrating to me, because forever in my life, it will always be the Sears Tower. So that is the third set of the 6 I don't own, is 2 versions of the Sears Tower. And the only difference between this set is the name plaque itself. So yeah, I don't own those, but I do own the Willis Tower. And then something amazing happened with what I think is really the turning point in this theme, and what has led this theme to basically stay in production for the last 16 years. They released set 21005, Falling Water, in 2009. And if you don't know Falling Water is a building in Bear Run, Pennsylvania, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright is arguably the best known American architect of our time, okay, and of the 20th century in general. He was revolutionary at the time. His buildings are absolutely iconic. If you've been to New York and been to the Guggenheim Museum is one of his final designs before he passed away, like in the 40s or 50s. But in my opinion, there is no better Frank Lloyd Wright building than Falling Water. If you ever get a chance, if you're in southwestern Pennsylvania on vacation or wherever, if you live by there, lucky you, Falling Water was designed to be a vacation home, I believe in the 30s or 40s for a nice, well-to-do family. And what's iconic about this building, if you've never seen it, please Google it. Please look at images because it's so gorgeous. But there's these huge, huge cantilever decks that were revolutionary for the time that span over this beautiful, beautiful creek, this mountain creek. And it's nestled in these woods and it's just serene. It's gorgeous. And it's one of the most peaceful places that I have ever visited in my life. And so I love Falling Water. It's absolutely a gorgeous building. I've known about Falling Water for years. And so when that came out in Lego, I was like, I got to own it. It was $100 at the time. And I was like, I'm spending $100 on this. And there was no black base like we're used to. Like when you look at the Notre Dame on the YouTube video I'm showing you right now, every architecture set mostly comes with a black base. Falling Water was so old and so original to this theme, there was no black base. There was this gray base plate, but it was gorgeous and people loved it. And to this day, it's one of the highest rated sets in this theme. And so I had to have it. And that really, it sucked me into Lego. I was definitely out of the dark ages at this point. And so then moving forward a couple of years, right, starting to get more into Lego. I'm really just collecting architecture at this point, so a few Star Wars sets. But the year is 2011 and set 21010, Frank Lloyd Wright's The Roby House gets released. Today's standard, I don't know if people would think this is a very impressive set, but in 2011, this set had 2,276 pieces and was $200. Back then, the architecture sets were 100 pieces, 200 pieces. We thought Falling Water was huge because it was almost 1,000 pieces. And now we have this amazing set that's 2,276 pieces. And if you've ever actually built the Roby House, you know it's really just a bunch of 2x1 bricks that are all stacked on each other. But it's a really cool set, a set I never thought I would own. But my beautiful wife went to Barnes & Noble and got it for me for my birthday. And that was the other cool part about architecture. If you don't know this, that was where you got your architecture sets. If there wasn't a Lego store, it was one of those few places where you could just go to Barnes & Noble. And this was back in the day before Barnes & Noble had rows and rows of Lego. They had one little section of Lego, and it was Lego architecture, and it seemed refined, and it seemed something like that was offered for adults, right? And all the sets were there. None of the sets for architecture were retiring, so you could get your hands on any of these at any time. And so my wife got me the Roby House, and that really steamrolled into, I have to own every single set. The Roby House, beautiful. And then let's go forward another year. You got set 21016, and I'm going to butcher the name because I can't ever say it right, but it's Sunning Moon, I guess. It is a historical gate, if you will, in Korea, in South Korea. It released in June of 2012. It had an 8-month release. Now, here's why that's important. You have to understand as well, as I just said, when you go to Barnes & Noble, you could see every Lego architecture set. Sears Tower, John Hancock, the Rockefeller Center, the White House, all of those were on shelves for literally years. I think the Empire State Building was on shelves for like 6 years. This had an 8-month release. And so when it retired, you could buy it at the time for $35, which I did because I wasn't investing in Lego at the time, really. I just wanted it for myself, right? And so I bought this set for $35 and then it retired. Now, if you want it, it's on sale on sale. It's available, but around $320 new in box. So that's an 800% price increase. And so I mentioned this set because that was the first architecture set that actually retired. Wasn't a very stable set. Wasn't, honestly, in my opinion, a super impressive set. But because it retired first, it skyrocketed in value. And after that one retired, then John Hancock Center retired. And then we were like, oh, maybe they are going to start retiring architecture sets. Maybe I should invest in architecture sets. And some of those early sets from 2008 up to about 2012 are worth decent money. In fact, there's 26 sets that are at least 200% of their value. So if you had bought that set for $20, you could sell it nowadays for $60 or more. So life was good, right? Architecture was great, cruising right along. Now let's fast forward to December of 2013. Set 21021, the Marina Bay Sands. I mentioned this set because this is one of the first times I had ever seen LEGO do that super limited regional release. And so unless you lived in Singapore or had made a visit to the Marina Bay Sands, this gorgeous hotel, you can tell it's a hotel that's 3 buildings that has a rooftop pool that connects all 3 buildings. And this pool is like 500 feet in the air. So it's absolutely a marvel of engineering, but they released it in LEGO and you could only get it there. And so that is the 4th set I've never owned. And if you want that set today, again, when it goes on sale, it's going to cost you anywhere between probably $600 to $800. Which is crazy to me because you can bricklink most of this set, honestly. A lot of those expensive sets, you can bricklink almost every piece to any set nowadays. But what you're paying for is the name, printed name piece, and the packaging. So if you want that new in box, plan on spending $800, which is just crazy to me. So I'll probably never own that set. It's a little absurd that it's worth that much money. All right, moving forward, I had mentioned this set, but in 2016, architecture diverted into a sub-theme, and that was LEGO Skylines architecture. And so what they did with that is they took an entire city, and the iconic buildings or structures in that city, and they did a little micro scale build of this. So it wasn't deep. It was like 4 or 5 studs deep by about 16 to 20 studs long. And so it made this little panorama view of the city itself. And the first one they did was Venice. And it was cute, but it was only like 250 pieces. It cost $30. Again, LEGO architecture was expensive as far as price per piece. But that one actually retired. You can't find that for less than $200 if you want that one new in box. But Venice, I mentioned this set because it just was kind of a turning point in LEGO architecture. And you need to understand that between 2008 and 2019, they're releasing anywhere between 4 to probably 6 sets a year in architecture. And so Venice marked this deliberate change in the style of set that they were doing. And sets were also progressively getting bigger. I loved Venice. And so I kept collecting, completionist that I am. Here we go. It's 2017, 2018, and there are 2 LEGO sets in this theme right in a row that I have yet to get my hands on. The final 2 sets I don't own are sets 21037, the LEGO House, and 21038, Las Vegas. Both, I think, have a really interesting story behind them. First, the LEGO House. It was released in 2017. So the LEGO House itself, if you ever get a chance to go to Billund, Denmark, the home of LEGO, they have the LEGO House. And it's this giant building that actually looks like a bunch of colored building blocks all stacked upon each other, right? And so to commemorate this house being built, they actually released 2 different versions. There was a promotional set in 2013, which if you're watching YouTube right now, I'm going to show everybody on the film. I do have the promotional one from 2013, But that wasn't a Lego architecture set. That was just promotional, and it was done in all just the white and grays. In 2017, they did a colorized version of it. Now, this set is attainable, and I will eventually get my hands on that set someday, and I will open that set. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that my Lego house that I currently have, the promotional one, it's not opened, and it's because it's actually a signed set. I have it signed by Stuart Harris. Stuart Harris is a Lego designer, master designer out of Billund. And it's kind of funny because this set, I was at a convention, and heard him speak. He was talking about the new Lego house, upscaled minifig done in the pirate style. And he is the designer for that set. And I thought, how cool would it be to have him sign this Lego house set? Now, he didn't design this set, but he has been integral in some of those things that go on in the Lego house as far as sets go. So there's this thing called the Tree of Creativity. It's like a 3-story tall tree, right? He helped design that. He helped do the set that you can only find at the Lego house, the Tree of Creativity. The pirate, you can only find it at the Lego house. Well, the Lego house set for architecture also was only released at the Lego house. So if you want this set, you got to do 2 things. You got to go to Billund, Denmark, buy it for yourself at the Lego house, or you got to buy it online from someone who has bought it in Billund. It has never been released globally. So that's why I don't own that yet. It's still fairly reasonable. You're going to spend probably $100 on it. And then next was Las Vegas. Las Vegas, this is a crazy story, y'all. So the Las Vegas set was slated to be released in the beginning of 2018 as part of the Skyline series, right? We got official images of it, and it had the picture of the Luxor, and then next to it is that gold, it's the Marina Bay? Marina Sands? I don't remember. It's not Marina Bay like Singapore. It's the gold one that's right next to Marina Bay. And unfortunately, right after we got official images of this set, that's when they had this shooting in Las Vegas. That was late 2017, and the gunman actually chose that hotel to shoot from. And it was an awful, awful, horrible tragedy. And Lego did the right thing. They pulled this set. They never officially released set 21038 Las Vegas. And so you could not get your hands on this set unless you were in South Africa. And if you were in South Africa and you're a very lucky person, which it's terrible, terrible that it happened, but what happened is they had already sent this set out for distribution to some places. And this place in South Africa actually sold some of these sets early. And so there's probably 20 of these sets out in the wild. It is confirmed that these sets do exist in the wild, but they were never officially released by Lego because it would have been done in poor taste. That's not something you do after a huge tragedy like that. What they did do instead is they didn't release that set. They waited a couple of years. They redid the Las Vegas set without that hotel and then released that, which that is a set I do own. But there you go. Those are the 6 sets that I don't own on Lego Architecture. All the other 54 I definitely do own. So, but with that, I want to finish off with 2 last sets that I definitely think are worth mentioning and why I think makes this line so cool. And one was set 21050, and that's the Lego Architecture Studio set. Not in the right numbering system because it came out way back in 2013, but this set harkens back to those early 1960 days where it was a box full of white Lego, a lot of different styles of white Lego, and a huge, huge booklet that gave you different ideas on how to design, different ideas on how to build your own architectural piece, whether that be a house or a tower or any type of crazy piece. And it was a really cool idea. And again, something that I think Lego was really progressive on at the time because they weren't doing that back in those days. And so it was a pretty big deal. They had build sessions at your local Barnes and Nobles where you could go out and you could build these sets. I ended up getting mine at a really good deal for like 20-30% off, and I still have held on to it. Thinking about selling it, honestly, but it's cool. It's just not a display piece. It's a playable thing. Just a very cool concept, though. And then to finally finish off, here we go to the future, 2024, Lego Notre Dame. Lego Notre Dame is notable. Do you see what I did there? It's notable because it's to date the largest Lego architecture set ever released. It has 4,383 pieces, and this is what is indicative of Lego circa 2024 right now, right? And there's a trend that we're seeing in the architecture theme, and it has me honestly a little worried. I had said between 2008 and 2019, they were doing 4 to 6 sets a year. Well, in 2020, it went down to 3. In 2021, there was only 1 set. In 22 and 23, there were only 2 sets apiece in each year. And then in 2024, the Lego Notre Dame, it's the only architecture set we've gotten. So we've gotten a lot less sets, but each set that we've got is huge. So we got the Hamaji Palace. We got the Giza Pyramids, which are amazing. And we've got this set, which is an absolute beautiful behemoth. The way they do the flying buttresses is gorgeous. The micro scale build is done really well. And they did it justice because this, if you don't know, Notre Dame was one of the tallest, actually the tallest building in Europe for hundreds of years. And it's the centerpiece of Paris, let's be honest. You could say it's the Eiffel Tower, but that's the tourist trap. This was the center for Catholicism. And post-fire, I think they did a really good job in representing the spire and the whole set in general. The roof comes off and you get a nice detail inside. You get the printed stained glass windows that are absolutely gorgeous. And it's a beautiful set. I love this set, but it does have me worried because I hope you know that listening to this, I can tell you just how much I think Lego architecture has done not only for Lego, but has done to present itself as not just a toy, but a building system that's meant for collectors, meant for adults, meant for people who have a sophisticated taste, because what kid wants to build a micro-scale version of Notre Dame? And so I think it's really important that this theme continues. It's been out there for 16 years, and I am worried it may go away. I feel like it's slowly getting phased out, and that does worry me. I wish they would get back into the higher releases, maybe do some more micro builds, because they're gorgeous. They're fun, they're great, they're displayable, and like I said, they really set the tone for what I believe is the current 18 plus builds. And so whether you like architecture or not, you have to recognize that this has definitely been an influential theme for us AFOLs in the community. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Lego architecture. I hope you go out and get a couple of these sets yourself, because you can still go. I think there's probably still 9 of these 60 sets that are out on shelves nowadays. If you want to go buy some yourself and display them yourself, they're just gorgeous. And I think every Lego collector should love them just as much as I do, right? But hey, leave me a comment below. Do you love architecture? Is City your thing? Are you Lego Ideas? Are you a Creator Expert fan and don't like that it became Lego Icons? Or are you like me? Are you an AFOL that came out of the dark ages because of some simple set like this? Share me that story below, share that comment below, and let me know your journey. My journey started with Lego architecture, so I think it's a theme that deserves to keep on living on, and it deserves to have its due. So with that, though, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you're loving the Wild Card Wednesday. I hope you have an excellent rest of your Wednesday, whether you're listening or watching. Thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next one.